Let me tell you something. People are always watching you. They're observing, assessing, trying to figure out who you are and what you're all about. That's just how the world works. Curiosity is everywhere. Everyone wants to know your next move, what you're working on, how you're doing it, and why. But here's the thing. The moment you start sharing too much, letting people into your plans, your dreams, your grind, you're giving them something you can never take back. Control over your story, over your process, over your mindset. That's why you should never, and I mean never, tell people what you're up to. Think about it. How many times have you shared your goals, your ambitions, and your next big idea, only to be met with something far from the support or encouragement you were hoping for? More often than not, it doesn't go the way you'd expect. Maybe they smiled to your face, but behind your back they doubted you, questioned your choices, or worse, started working against you. That's the reality we live in, and that's exactly why I'm telling you, stop telling people what you're doing. Now, this doesn't mean you should start acting like a secret agent, moving in silence like you're constantly on some covert mission. It's about understanding the power of silence. It's knowing that your actions, your results, they're the loudest statements you can make. They'll speak louder than any words ever could. Too many people get caught up in explaining their hustle, justifying their dreams, trying to prove why their path makes sense. But when you do that, you open the door for judgment, for criticism, for opinions that plant seeds of doubt. The moment you share your plans, people think they have the right to chime in, to critique, to weigh in like they've got all the answers, like they know your path better than you do. And sure, some of it might be well-meaning. Some people truly believe they're helping, trying to save you from what they think are mistakes. But more often than not, it's just noise, unsolicited advice, unnecessary criticism and doubt. Those things creep into your mind and start to cloud your vision and doubt. That's a dangerous thing. Doubt pulls you off your game. It disrupts your focus. But it doesn't stop there. Some people will go further. They'll poke holes in your vision asking, are you sure about that? Or is that really going to work? And before you know it, you're questioning yourself, wondering if maybe they're right. Maybe you missed something. That's the seed of doubt. And every time you share, every time you explain, every time you give away a piece of your process, you're watering it. And that's dangerous. That's how dreams die. Not because they were impossible, but because you let too many voices into your head. The worst kind of people. They're the ones who steal from you. Oh, it happens more than you think. You share your ideas, your blueprint, the unique pieces of yourself, and before you know it, they've taken parts of it. They might not steal the whole thing, but they'll take just enough to put themselves ahead. They'll shortcut the path you've been building for years, riding on the foundation you've painstakingly laid down. And the worst part, it's not always obvious. Sometimes they chip away at your confidence, little by little, and while your progress stalls, they're moving forward using your ideas. Not everyone around you wants to see you win. It's harsh, but it's the truth. It doesn't matter how close you are, how long you've known them. Sometimes it's the people closest to you who feel the most threatened by your success. Your growth forces them to confront their stagnation. When they see you climbing, making moves, it makes them ask themselves, what am I doing? And that's a question a lot of people don't want to face. So instead of cheering you on, they'll tear you down. Or at the very least, they'll try to hold you back just enough so they don't feel like they're falling behind. The more you share, the more you expose yourself to that kind of negativity. That's why the smartest move you can make is to stay focused and stay quiet. Let your work speak for itself. When you're hustling in silence, people have nothing to grab onto. They can't criticize what they don't know. They can't sabotage a dream. They can't sabotage a dream they can't see. And by the time they do see it, it'll be too late. You'll already be too far ahead for them to catch up. Here's the thing. The world loves a good story. People are drawn to the drama, the struggle, the rise to success. But you don't owe anyone that story. It's your life, your journey, and it's up to you how much you choose to share. You have every right to keep certain chapters to yourself, especially the ones still being written, because when you're in the middle of building something, you don't need an audience. You don't need people on the sidelines watching your every move, offering their commentary. That's not going to help you finish what you started. Think of your dreams and goals as a fire. It's that fire that drives you, motivates you to get up every day and go after what you want. But every time you explain yourself, every time you share your plans, it's like opening a window and letting the heat escape. Bit by bit that fire weakens. You're still trying to keep it burning, but it gets harder because you've let too much of that energy out. Before you know it, you're left in the cold, wondering where your drive went. I'm not saying you shouldn't dream big or believe in yourself with everything you've got. But those dreams, that belief, it's fragile. It's something you need to protect, because the moment you start advertising it, you're putting a target on your back. Not everyone will clap for you. Some will envy you, some will envy you, some will doubt you, and some will even try to tear you down just to keep you from proving them wrong. You've got to understand this. Your dreams are delicate, they're strong enough to push you forward, but sensitive enough that the wrong words, the wrong energy can break them apart. That's why you need to be careful about who you let in. It's like building a house. You don't invite people over while the foundation's still being laid. You wait until the walls are up, the roof is secure, everything is in place before you show it off. Because if you let people in too soon, they'll start pointing out every flaw, every crack in the foundation. And before you know it, you're questioning whether you can even finish. Imagine how much more powerful it is to show up with the finished product. No explanations, no justifications, just results. When you do that, you take away their ability to doubt you. They can't question what's already done. They can't poke holes in a vision that's fully realized. By the time they see it, it's too late to interfere. This world is full of people who thrive on opinions, throwing in their 2 cents, whether you ask for it or not. But here's the truth. None of that matters. The only opinion that matters is yours. The only voice you need to hear is the one inside you, urging you to keep going. Nobody else is walking your path. Nobody else knows what's in your path. Nobody else knows what it took to get here. And nobody else understands where you're trying to go. So why give them the power to influence your journey? Why let them take the wheel when they can't even see the road? You wouldn't hand over control of your life to a stranger, so don't do it with your dreams. Keep them close. When you hold your dreams tight and move in silence, they grow stronger. They evolve without interference, becoming something that's entirely yours, that gives them a better chance to survive. I've seen too many people lose momentum because they talked too soon. They got caught up in the excitement sharing their ideas, and before they knew it, the energy was gone. All those opinions, all that doubt, it chipped away at their confidence until there was nothing left. But the ones who stayed quiet. So don't feel like you owe anyone an explanation. You don't need to justify your dreams. You don't need to prove anything to anyone but yourself. Keep your head down. Stay focused and let your success speak for itself. Because in the end, it's not about what you say, it's about what you say. Let your actions tell the story. Let the results be your voice. By the time they're asking how you did it, it'll already be too late to stop you. That's why I'm telling you, keep it to yourself, keep it close. Let your passion be something you cultivate in silence, something you nurture without needing validation from anyone else. Because the truth is, no one will believe in your dream the way you do. No one will fight for it as hard as you will. It's your vision, and that makes it precious. And like anything precious, it needs to be protected. You've got to move in silence, like a shadow in the night. Not because you're hiding, but because you're focused, because you're driven. You know that when the time is right, when the work is done, the world will see what you've built. Until then, you owe it to yourself to keep the process sacred. There's a power in not explaining yourself to anyone. There's strength in letting your actions do the talking. Because when people see results, there's nothing they can argue with. They can't question the grind when it's staring them in the face. But if all you're offering is talk, that's all they'll give you in return. Talk. You ever notice how the people who do the least are often the ones with the most to say? They'll sit there and tell you what won't work, how you should change this or fix that, but they lack the courage to do anything themselves. That's because talking is easy. Talking takes no effort, no risk, but doing, taking that leap, moving forward despite the odds, despite the doubts, that's where the real work is. That's what separates the dreamers from the doers. And here's the truth. When you're truly focused on building something, you don't have time to explain yourself. You don't have time to worry about who's on board and who isn't. You're too busy grinding, too busy putting in the work. By the time people realize what you're doing, you'll already be 10 steps ahead. That's why you've got to be cautious about sharing too much too soon. Don't give people space to dissect your dreams. Give them something to talk about when they see the results. Let them wonder how you did it. Let them be curious, because by the time they're asking, it'll be too late for them to interfere. The work will already be done, the success already in motion. When you keep things close to your chest, you're protecting yourself from unnecessary criticism. You're shielding yourself from negativity that could derail you. And make no mistake, energy is everything. Your passion, your drive, your belief, those are your fuel. But every time you share your plans with people who don't understand, every time you explain yourself, you're giving away pieces of that fuel. It's like trying to run a race while handing out your energy to the crowd. You're still running, but it's harder now. You're still moving forward, but you're getting tired faster. And before you know it, you're out of steam. That's what happens when you let too many people into your process. You spend more time justifying your dreams than actually working on them. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you can't have a support system. I'm not saying you should go it alone without ever seeking guidance or advice. But you have to be selective about who you let in. Not everyone deserves a front row seat to your journey. Not everyone needs to know what's happening behind the scenes. Some people are just there for the spectacle. They're not invested in your success. They're only there to watch. And the truth is, some people don't want to see you win. Your success shines a spotlight on their complacency. When they see you making moves, it forces them to look at their own lives and ask, what am I doing? That discomfort makes it easier for them to pull you down to their level than to rise to yours. Instead of cheering you on, they'll try to hold you back. They'll plant seeds of doubt, question your decisions, point out every reason why it won't work, why you're not ready, and why you should wait. But here's the thing. You can't wait for everyone to get on board. You can't wait for people to understand what you're doing. If you wait for that, you'll never start. The right people, the ones meant to be part of your journey, they'll catch up. They'll see the vision once it's in motion, but you can't let those who don't see it slow you down. You have to keep moving. You have to keep pushing forward, even if it means doing it alone for a while. When you move in silence, when you keep your process private, you give yourself the freedom to grow without interference. You give yourself the space to make mistakes, to learn, to adjust without feeling like the whole world is watching. Because let me tell you, nobody's perfect. Every dream, every vision goes through a process. There are setbacks, there are fatbacks, there are failures. But when you keep that process to yourself, those setbacks don't become public failures. They're just part of the journey. You learn, you adapt, and you keep moving. Think about it like building a house. You wouldn't invite everyone over while the foundation is still being laid, would you? You wouldn't show off half-built walls or an unfinished roof, no. You wait until the house is complete, until everything is in place before inviting anyone in. Because if you bring them in too early, all they'll do is point out what's missing, what needs fixing. And that will distract you from finishing the work. Your dreams are no different. They need time to grow, to develop, to take shape. During that time, you don't need an audience. You don't need people picking apart every decision, every detail. You just need to focus on the work. And when it's done, when you have something solid to show, then you can let people in. By then, their opinions won't matter. The work will speak for itself. So keep moving in silence. Keep building in private. Let your actions be louder than your words. Because at the end of the day, it's not about what you say. It's about what you do. It's about the results you deliver. The impact you make. And when people see that, they won't need an explanation. They won't need to hear how you did it. The results will speak for themselves. That's how you protect your dreams. That's how you protect your dreams. That's how you keep the fire inside you burning strong. You don't let anyone extinguish it with their doubts, fears, or opinions. You hold it close. You guard it with everything you've got and let the results do all the talking. Because when you move like that, when your success speaks for itself, there's nothing anyone can say to stop you. They can't argue with results. They can't question the grind when it's right there in front of them, undeniable and unshakable. And by the time they realize what you built, it'll be too late for them to do anything about it. The work will already be done, and you'll be so far ahead they won't even be able to catch up. You see, too many people think they need someone else's approval to succeed. They feel they need someone to say, "That's a great idea," or "I believe in you," just to confirm they're on the right path. It's a trap, a pattern we've been taught to follow. From the time we're young, we're conditioned to seek validation. We grow up craving praise, whether it's from parents, teachers, or friends, and that habit follows us into adulthood, turning into an instinct to look outward, hoping someone else will give us the green light to chase our dreams. But here's the truth. You don't need anyone's approval. Not for your dreams, not for your work, not for the path you're walking. The only approval you need is your own. That's the lesson most people miss. They get stuck waiting for someone to co-sign their vision, to pat them on the back and say, "You've got this." And because they don't get it, they never start. They hesitate, they hold back. All because no one else has validated their idea. But if you're waiting for someone else to believe in your dream before you do, you're already behind. You have to believe in it first before anyone else can. You've got to see the vision even when it's blurry to everyone else. And the way you show that belief, it's not by talking about it, it's by doing it. When you keep your vision close, when you hold it tight, you give yourself room to grow. You allow space for mistakes, adjustments, and evolution, without the weight of outside opinions. That's critical, because your path is unique. No one else is walking it. No one else can see it the way you do. So why invite them in before it's ready? Why expose something in its infancy to people who might not understand? All they'll do is add their doubts, their concerns. And those seeds of doubt can grow into roadblocks if you let them. There's a saying, the loudest one in the room is often the weakest. The same applies to your dreams. If you're constantly broadcasting what you're doing, it's often because deep down you're looking for confirmation. You want someone to tell you that you're on the right path, but if you truly believed in your dream, you wouldn't need that. You wouldn't need to announce it. You'd already know. And that knowing, that quiet confidence is what separates the people who talk from the people who do. Look at it this way. People who are secure in their vision, who are confident in what they're building, don't feel the need to broadcast it. They're too busy working, too focused on the process to care what anyone else thinks. They've got their heads down, grinding, putting in the hours because they know the work will speak for itself. That's the difference between talking about success and achieving it. One is about seeking validation. The other is about putting in the effort day in and day out until the results are undeniable. And that's what matters. Not what you say, but what you do. It's about showing up every day, putting in the work and letting the results speak louder than words ever could. Because when people see the results, when they see what you've built, the conversation changes. They stop asking why you're doing it and start asking how you did it. But by then it'll be too late. You'll already be too far ahead, too deep in the game for their opinions to matter. When you keep things to yourself, you're not just protecting your dream from outside opinions. You're also guarding it against your own doubts. See, the more you talk about something, the more you open the door to overthinking. You start questioning every detail, worrying about what others might say. That worry turns into hesitation. You begin to second guess yourself. Am I ready? Am I capable? Is this the right time? And before you know it, the spark that got you started begins to fade. But when you stay quiet, when you don't feel the need to broadcast every move, you stay focused on what truly matters, the work. You stay connected to that original inspiration, to the fire that lit you up in the first place. That fire, it's what will carry you through. Keep it protected. Keep it burning. Because in the end, the only thing that matters is the work you put in and the results you deliver. Let that be the story you tell. You're not distracted by the noise or the opinions of people who don't understand your vision. You're locked in, fully focused on the process, and that's where the magic happens. That's where the magic happens. That's where dreams turn into reality, not in the talking, but in the doing. Think of it like planting a seed. If you dig it up every day to show others that it's growing, you are not giving it the chance to take root. You are not allowing it the time it needs to grow strong beneath the surface. Dreams are no different. They need time to take root, to grow and develop away from the spotlight without the weight of outside expectations. You've got to trust the process. Trust that what you're doing, even if no one else sees it yet, is enough. Because the truth is, not everyone will see your vision. Not everyone will understand it. And that's okay. It's not their vision to see. It's not their path to walk. It's yours. And sometimes that means walking alone for a while. It means being okay with the fact that not everyone will understand why you're doing what you're doing. It means finding comfort in your own conviction, knowing you're on the right path, even if no one else is there to tell you so. That's where real strength lies, not in the approval of others, not in their applause or validation, but in the quiet confidence that comes from within. Real strength is knowing deep down that what you're doing is right. It's having the courage to keep going even when the path ahead is unclear, even when the road gets hard, even when it feels like you're the only one who believes in your dream. That's the kind of strength that leads to greatness. That's the kind of conviction that builds legacies. Because at the end of the day, nobody remembers the people who just talked about what they were going to do. They remember the ones who did it, the ones who put in the work, who stayed focused, who didn't let the noise of the world distract them from their purpose. You can't be afraid to walk that path alone. You can't be afraid to see the vision even when no one else does, because eventually the world will catch up. Eventually, people will see what you've been working on, but by the time they do, you'll already be miles ahead onto the next thing, and that's exactly how it's supposed to be. You're not here to wait for the world's permission. You're here to make your mark, to build something that matters, to live your truth. So don't worry about the approval of others. Don't waste energy explaining yourself or making people understand. Just do the work. Keep pushing, keep grinding, keep moving forward, and when the results come, and they will come, the work will speak for itself. The success will be undeniable, and by then you won't need anyone's approval. You'll have your own, and that's the only approval that ever mattered. I've seen it time and time again. The ones who succeed are the ones who stay quiet. They don't make a spectacle of their efforts. They don't feel the need to share every idea before it's ready. They don't broadcast their plans to the world, and they don't seek validation from others. There's a special kind of power in that silence. It's a quiet confidence that doesn't need applause to keep moving forward. They don't need the cheers before the performance because they understand something simple but powerful. The work speaks for itself. They show up day in and day out. They commit to the grind, not the glory. And when the time comes, when the results are undeniable, the world notices on its own. Success doesn't need an introduction. It introduces itself, and that's the kind of person you want to be. Someone who lets their actions do the talking. Someone who moves in silence, grinds in private, and reaps the rewards when the time is right. Someone who doesn't need validation from anyone but themselves. Because at the end of the day, your dreams are yours. Your vision is yours, and no one, absolutely no one, can take that from you unless you let them. The world is full of distractions. There are people who mean well, but they'll never see your vision as clearly as you do, and that's fine. It's not their job to believe in it. It's yours. When you start sharing your dreams prematurely, when you start looking for that pat on the back before you've even taken the first step, you open yourself up to negativity. People will question you. They'll doubt you. They'll project their fears onto you. And if you're not careful, you'll start questioning yourself. You'll wonder if maybe they're right, if maybe they're right, if maybe your dream is too big, too unrealistic, too out of reach. That's the danger of seeking validation before putting in the work. You give others power over your dream, and once they have that power, they'll hold it over you, whether they mean to or not. Think of how many dreams have died because someone shared them too soon. How many brilliant ideas never saw the light of day because outside opinions clouded the vision. It happens all the time. Someone gets inspired, they dream big and they get excited, but then they start telling everyone about it. Their friends, family, co-workers, anyone who will listen. Sure, some people might be supportive, but many won't, and it's those voices, the ones filled with fear, that chip away at their confidence. Before long, the fire and passion they had in the beginning start to fade. Not because the dream wasn't possible, but because they let the doubts of others drown out their belief. That's why I'm telling you, keep your dream close and protect it. It's like planting a seed. You wouldn't dig it up every day to check if it's growing. You trust that with care, time and patience, it'll grow strong on its own. You wouldn't expose a seed to the elements before it's had a chance to take root. You'd keep it safe, water it, and give it time to grow in the dark, beneath the soil where no one can see it yet. That's exactly what you need to do with your dream. Give it time to take root. Give it time to grow strong. Nurture it in private, away from the noise, away from the doubts of others. And here's the thing, when you do that, when you give your dream the space it needs to grow, you're not just protecting it from outside negativity, you're also shielding it from your own doubts. Because let's face it, we're all our own worst critics. We all have that voice inside us that questions whether we're good enough, whether we're capable, whether we have what it takes. The more you talk about your dream, the more you invite those doubts in. You start to overthink. You start to overthink. You second guess yourself, but when you stay quiet, when you keep your head down and focus on the work, you push through those doubts. You stay connected to that original spark, the inspiration that got you started in the first place. You don't let the noise of the world distract you from your purpose. There's power in moving in silence. It gives you a kind of focus that's hard to find in a world constantly demanding your attention. Everywhere you look, people are in a rush to share, to post, to show the world what they're up to. But those who succeed understand the value of patience. They know the strength in keeping their heads down and staying focused on the work without getting caught up in the need for instant recognition. Success isn't built in the spotlight. It's built in the quiet moments, the grind and the hours no one else sees. That's where the magic happens. It's in the discipline of showing up day after day, even when you don't feel like it. It's in the commitment to the process, even when the results don't come as quickly as you'd like. It's in the quiet confidence of knowing you're on the right path, even when no one else can see it yet. And here's the truth, you don't need anyone else to see it. You don't need anyone else to believe in it. All you need is that fire inside you, that belief in yourself, in your vision, and in the work you're doing. That's what separates those who succeed from those who don't. It's not talent. It's not luck. It's not luck. It's not who you know. It's the willingness to show up and do the work every single day without needing anyone else to validate your journey. Because eventually the world will catch up. Eventually people will see what you've been building. But by then you'll be so far ahead, so deep into your journey, that their opinions won't matter anymore. You'll already be reaping the rewards of your work. By the time they're asking how you did it, it'll be too late for them to interfere. That's what it's all about. Creating something undeniable, something so powerful that no one can ignore it. But that takes time. It takes patience. And most of all, it takes silence. It takes the discipline to keep your head down, to stay focused and to put in the work without needing anyone else's approval. When the time is right, when you've built something strong and unshakable, the world will take notice. But here's the thing. You won't be seeking that notice. You won't be looking for applause. You'll already know you've done the work, that you've built something that matters, and that's the only validation you'll ever need. So, don't be afraid to move in silence. Don't be afraid to keep your dreams to yourself, to protect them from the noise, from the doubts, from the distraction. Trust the process. Trust yourself. And trust that when the time is right, the work you've done in the dark will come to light. And when it does, you won't need to say a word. Your results will speak louder than any announcement, louder than any explanation, and in that moment you'll realize that silence was the key all along. Success isn't about being the loudest in the room. It's about being the most disciplined, the most focused, the most committed. It's about doing the work, not for the applause, but for the fulfillment of knowing you gave it everything you had. When you do that, when you commit to the process with everything in you, the results will come. They always do. But you have to be willing to stay quiet, to stay focused, and to put in the work without waiting for anyone else to tell you you're on the right track. Because deep down you already know you are. You just have to believe in it enough to keep going, even when no one else is watching. So be that person. Be the one who doesn't need applause before the performance. Be the one who shows up day in and day out. And when the time comes, when the results are undeniable, the world will take notice. By then you won't need their approval. You'll already have your own. And that's the only validation that matters. Don't give away your power. Don't let people into your process until you're ready to show them the results. Move in silence. Keep your head down. Do the work. And when the time comes, let your success be the loudest thing in the room. Let your results speak for themselves. That's how you stay focused. That's how you win. And that's how you ensure that nobody, no matter how hard they try, because here's the truth. When you open up too soon, you expose yourself. It's like stepping out into a storm without an umbrella. The moment you share what you're working on, you allow other people's opinions, doubts and fears to seep into your process. Those things are contagious. Doubt spreads like wildfire. Negativity is sneaky. It plants seeds of uncertainty in your mind. Suddenly you're not just focused on doing the work, you're battling voices in your head, telling you what might fail, what you should or shouldn't do. That's why it's so important to stay quiet, to keep your power in your own hands. When you start looking for outside validation, you disrupt the flow of your work. You open yourself to criticism, to judgment, to opinions that aren't aligned with your vision. But here's the thing, most people don't understand your vision because it's not theirs. They can't see what you see because they're not walking in your shoes. So why let their opinions shape your dreams? You don't build a house by inviting people over while the foundation is still being laid. You wait until it's finished, move in silence, protect your process, keep your head down, and when the time is right, the results will speak for themselves. That's how you win, by staying focused, disciplined, and committed to your path. And when the world finally sees what you built, they won't just admire it. They'll respect it. That's the power of silence. That's the power of unwavering focus. It's not about proving anything to anyone else. It's about proving something to yourself. It's about knowing that your vision, your path, your dream is worth every ounce of effort, every hour of work, and every moment of dedication. It's about realizing that success isn't something that needs to be shouted about. It's something that's earned in the quiet moments when no one else is watching. When you move in silence, you're protecting that focus. You're guarding your dream from the noise of the world, from the doubts of others, and even from your own fears. You're giving it the space to grow, to evolve, and to become something unshakable. And that's what makes it all worthwhile, because when the time comes, when you finally step out of the shadows and let the world see what you've built, the impact will be undeniable. There won't be any need for explanations. The results will say it all. They'll tell the story of the work you put in, the challenges you overcame, and the discipline it took to stay on course. And here's the best part, by then you won't even care what others think. You won't be looking for their approval or validation because you'll already know your worth. You already know that everything you've achieved is a testament to your belief in yourself, your commitment to your dream and your ability to persevere no matter what. So don't let the opinions of others steer you away from your path. Don't let their doubts become your doubts. Hold on to your vision, nurture it, protect it, and trust in the process. Trust that the work you're doing, even when it feels invisible, is building something extraordinary. Because at the end of the day, success doesn't happen overnight. It's not the result of luck or chance. It's the outcome of showing up every single day, of staying focused when the world is pulling at your attention, of putting in the work, even when no one else sees the effort. That's what separates those who dream from those who achieve. And when you finally reach that moment of success, when your dream has taken shape, when the work you've done in the dark comes to light, you'll realize that all the silence, all the discipline, all the patience was worth it. You'll realize that you didn't need anyone else's approval because you always had your own. So keep moving in silence, keep protecting your dream, keep doing the work day in and day out. And when the time is right, let your success speak louder than any words ever could. That's how you stay on track. That's how you win. And that's how you build a legacy that no one can ever take away.